What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Wednesday, wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is brought to you by All County Exteriors. Discover the excellence of All County Exteriors, a third-generation leader in premier exterior home remodeling, proudly celebrating over 40 years of success. While most remodeling companies last just 5 years, All County Exteriors has withstood the test of time, consistently delivering top-quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Their expertise extends from small repairs to large additions, serving homeowners and builders alike. More than just a construction company, All County Exteriors is deeply committed to community service, proudly supporting organizations such as the Make-A-Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Roofs for Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732-370-2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732-370-2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? How you doing this week? Episode 78 coming at you. Mike and I here. Man, we are excited for today's episode. We got a huge guest. The finals of the Fairway Faceoff. It's going to be a doozy. So let's jump into it, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, we're coming in hot April. I mean, this is April, the Masters. Everything's right around the corner. We got a great guest. We got a great lineup of guests coming up this month. It's a good time. And posting season started. Season started. I better see a lot of scores be going in there. 4-1 it started. People better be posting their scores.
Yeah, Mike, we posting season, we've been talking about it. That's why we had the Fairway Face-Off ending when it did. It's golf season now, baby. Golf season in New Jersey. Weather's changing. It's getting nicer. All that good stuff. It's a great time of year. Actual basketball, March Madness is going on. It's wonderful. This is like, I don't know which I like better, this time of year or Christmas time, but this is terrific. Today's guest is Shane Bacon. If you don't know who Shane is, he is a jack of all trades. He's a journalist. He's a podcaster. He's an announcer. He's a business owner. He does everything and everything under the sun. He is an absolute grinder. He's a national personality, a stud golfer in the MGA. And we can't wait to see him down at Manasquan River this fall. So make sure you stick around for Shane Bacon. We have an absolutely great interview with him. And as a side note, Mike, we have not interviewed someone who has such an incredible voice.
I take that back. We have two others.
We have two. Oh, yeah. That's right. Two others.
Jim Nance, Dan Hicks, Shane Bacon. Nonetheless, great company to be in.
Great company to be in. Great company to be in. I was always, he has you guys that are listening, you're in for a real treat today. Coming soon, Mike Verse coming at you. Those are going to be coming out on Mondays. Yesterday, Tuesday, was TPI Tuesday, episode 16. We're coming down to the wire here. We got just a few more of these coming out, and we're trying to work it where so Dr. Mike and I, have been recording these once a week. And we need to double up on a week so that what we want Mike to see the final episode before everybody else sees it. So then we can have him on, talk about it on the podcast, release the podcast on Wednesday when the final episode releases Tuesday. So in order for us to do that, we're going to have to double down. So so Dr. Mike and I are just trying to find some timing there that's going to happen. But that's basically what's, a little lift up the curtain and show it to you kind of thing here. But we're coming down to the wire here as far as TPI Tuesday goes. So so make sure you stick around. Head over to YouTube for that. Those are YouTube vehicles. Again, a lot of good exercises. Dr. Mike's putting me through the ringer. Again, working on the body. So it's great stuff. Today, episode 78. Head over to the YouTube channel. You can check us out over there. We're fully video up on the Drop Golf Podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe over there. Give it a thumbs up. Same thing on our Instagram. Subscribe there. Like us, follow, all that good stuff. We say it, but that stuff goes a long way. I don't know if you guys fully or truly understand how much that does for us. I've been saying it. Thursdays is going to be Ryan Verse. Those are coming out as well. We're getting started with those. They're not quite ready yet, but again, same thing with the Mike's Verse. They're coming soon. So a little bit dry this week as far as our schedule goes.
I will say regarding your schedule, I think the first one for Mike Versus will be April 8th. Monday, April 8th will be the first one. That is confirmed. I know last week it was still boiling a little bit in the pot, but now the pot is starting to, I need it to simmer.
Okay.
But April 8th, and then moving through the season, on Mondays, the Mike Versus series, brought to you by Matara's Italian Market, will be live.
Love it. I'm still a little more coming soon than you are. We'll be rocking and rolling. I'm hoping for what's that? The 8th, 9th, 10th, the 11th. I'm hoping for the 11th as well, but I had all the South Carolina ones at Tidewater, so we're working on stuff on my end as well. So again, like I said, a little lighter week as far as our schedule goes, but we're it's now posting season and we're getting rolling here. Want to give a shout out to Max and Chris. They had great opening rounds at the Texas Children's Houston Open. And just pushing for those guys so hard. Really, really need those guys to, again, we talked about it last week, Mike. So kind of doing, recapping it again, how the money works, how the, your status works and everything. Hoping the best for those guys. And really hope that they can produce because A, we need them to produce. B, we want them to produce. And C, it's nice to see someone's dreams coming true, right? So great job by those guys on their Thursday rounds. Best of luck this as they go into the weekend here.
So I do want to make sure I add this caveat in here because I know last week I told you I'd get back to you regarding this and how this all works. So in order for our guys to keep their card next season, right? I know we are going back and forth. Is it points? Is it money? They need to finish in the top 125 in the FedEx Cup points at the end of the season, so they are exempt for next season. Okay. Now, if they finish higher than 125 and they start sneaking into like top 100, top 70, top 50, that's when all these playoff events start to open up for them. So just to put a little cherry on top here, when you head into next season, we need them in the top 125 of the FedEx Cup points list.
Okay.
And like you said, keep making cuts, keep cashing checks, keep earning points. We're going to slowly but surely climb that ladder.
Did you see if there's a way for them to be outside? Like if they're 130, is there an avenue for them to keep their card, or are they automatically drop back down to the?
Oh, they can go to Q school. They would be exempt
like over the winter. Yeah.
Yep, and they'd be exempt to probably final stages, and they could do that and
Okay.
earn their card that way. Or if they didn't get that, they would get probably full status on the Corn Ferry Tour. But I'm sure there's conditional status from like 126 to like whatever the case is. So you get some other events on the PGA Tour, but you still retain your full card on the Corn Ferry Tour. But there's no doubt that these guys, their goal, not only probably to win and to make big money, is to finish top 125. Because to your point last week, it's like now that I have a routine, I kind of know where I want to stay, where I want to go, how I want to get there. If I can get a year under my belt and still able to retain my card, you got to think that pays dividends in the long run.
A
So,
huge,
listen,
huge.
they got to get 125 in the FedEx Cup points list. That's it. Let's get it
Okay.
done, boys.
Do you have that up right now? Are you looking at the screen? Do you know where they
I
fall on that?
have. I mean, do I know where they are right now?
Yeah.
Well, I know that none of them are inside a top 125. If that's what you're
I didn't think
going.
so, but yeah, that's where I
Um,
was going.
so Max currently is 137. Chris is
Okay.
165, and Ryan is 179.
Okay.
And it's funny because on their website they project things where they could finish.
Yeah.
Um, and they got Max projected at 114, which would be inside.
Yep.
They got Chris projected at 124,
Whoa.
which would be inside.
Yeah.
And then you got McCormick at 184. So you got a projection. That's
Mhm.
projection. But by the numbers, none are in right now. So we need the boys to keep grinding, keep going low, because listen, they had last week at the Texas Children's Houston Open. This week they got the Valero, and then they're off next week because it's the Masters. So we got to kind of need them to make another little run this week at
Mm.
the Valero.
Yeah. Get 2 under their belt would be good. So good luck again finishing up this weekend, fellas. Good luck at the Valero next week, and then enjoy some relaxing time during the Masters. Hopefully not for too many years. Hopefully
Yeah,
they,
that'd be sweet.
they can get that Masters invite.
Are you looking for the perfect place to tee it up this season? Or just looking for a great spot for casual comfort food? Or how about the most picturesque backdrop for the wedding of your dreams? Then you need to go visit Galloping Hill Golf Course in Kenilworth, New Jersey, conveniently located in Union County, right off exit 138 on the Garden State Parkway. Galloping Hill encompasses over more than 270 beautiful acres. It was again ranked in the top 10 of best public golf courses in New Jersey. Galloping Hill also offers a top 50 in the country learning center with 52 stalls and a 45,000 square foot practice area. In addition to a 9-hole course that is ranked in the top 10 of short courses in the entire country, Galloping Hill is more than just golf. The Hill Tavern Bar and Grill is a gastro pub with seasonal food and beer options updated regularly with amazing views of the course. Hosting over 100 golf outings and over 400 social events per year, their catering team consistently wins awards each year from the Knot and the Wedding Wire. Schedule a tour for your special event at the clubhouse at gallopinghill.com. It's all happening this year at Galloping Hill Golf Course. I do also want to toss this out there now that we're on like this New Jersey golfing professional kick, is our boy Morgan Hoffman is getting back at it next week. Okay, the Corn Ferry Tour is back. The Club Car Championship down there in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh,
He's
love
teeing
Savannah.
it back up. That tournament starts April 4th. So listen, I know he has not had the best start to this season. I'm sure he's not happy with where things are, but he's back at it this week, and new week, new results. Let's get it done, Morgan Hoffman.
Best of luck there, Morgan. Yeah, that's nice to see him getting back in the mix as well. Mike, have you ever been to Savannah?
The only time I've ever been to Georgia is I played golf at Jekyll Island, down where Davis Love resides,
Mm,
and I've been there.
okay.
I've never been to Savannah, so the answer is no.
No,
It's just a long-winded answer of saying no. Never been to Savannah, Georgia.
I absolutely love Savannah. Savannah's a really cool town. Really cool town. Forrest Gump filmed there.
Yep.
So,
News to me.
you want this is a very off topic but very quick story. So I love the movie Forrest Gump. I watch it all the time. I love the history. I love that they bring in all different types of, like, they kind of bring all these things together. And it's basically like in high school, it's a senior year history class all wrapped up into one with all the stuff that he goes through with like civil rights and Vietnam and all these things, right? Uh, so I So my buddy was stationed down in at Fort Stewart, I believe, is down there. It's near Savannah. So we go to Savannah, and I'm like, "Oh, great, let's go see." There's got to be like a Forrest Gump bench, right? There's got to be a statue of him sitting on the bench with like a box of chocolates in his lap or something. There's got to be something that's like a tourist attraction there. How cool would that be, right? I would love to see that. So they have all these squares, right? You know how in New Jersey we have circles? They have squares down in Savannah, which is basically the same thing, but you take a right turn, a left turn, a left turn, a left turn, a left turn. You kind of go around the square. So Chippewa Square in Savannah, Georgia, is where Forrest Gump is sitting on the bench. So I do all the research. I go down there. I go, this is where there's a statue behind him in Forrest Gump, and the backside of the statue is facing is like behind Forrest Gump, so you know exactly where he is. So I go to the square, and what do you know it? Not a bench there. There's a flower bed, and it's the only flower bed around that had a little rope around it as like a quote unquote fence. Because I'm sure that people were going there all pissed off, going, "Where's this motherfucking bench? Like, how is this not?" And then stamping the flowers. So I took a very sad picture of no bench there, but it was very disappointing. But the bench is supposedly in the Savannah Museum, like the Savannah History Museum.
There you go.
But how great would that be to have a Forrest Gump bench? Have people sit there? They could sit, talk to Forrest. That's a great photo op. I don't know why it feels like they're missing out on something there. But anyway, tangent off of that. Savannah's a great town. I do love it there. Mike, I want to save the big topic for the end. So let's go into some trips that we're taking. That time of year where you and I are heading abroad for a little bit. I'm heading down to Myrtle Beach.
You're in Myrtle Beach.
As people are listening to this, yes, I am in Myrtle Beach. I am getting to play Caledonia and True Blue, which I cannot wait to. I can't wait to have that experience. I was fortunate enough a bunch of years ago to come down and play it, but didn't truly understand what I was playing. So I'm super excited for this opportunity, and I can't wait. And can't wait. So we're gonna have some stuff coming out from these two places. At bare minimum, I'm hoping to get over to Tidewater, say hello to my friends over there. And we'll see if I get to play any more golf. But I'm down visiting mom for a few days here, and that's what I got going on. What?
I'm all the way down here in Jupiter, Florida, where I just don't know how people ever leave this spot because the weather is exactly what I like it to be: sun, hot. I just like paradise down here. You know, to your point,
I don't
I'm
like
teeing it up.
humidity. I can't do the humidity.
Give me humidity any day of the
No.
week over freezing cold. So
Oh no.
less on my body is more for that scene. But I do like you teeing it up twice, getting to play two different golf courses with my dad and my brother. It's exciting for the whole family to go down there and spend Easter together. So um just gonna soak in the sun, just gonna have that song playing in the background.
Nice. I
As
wanna soak up the sun.
Yep, just gonna have that blasting as I'm just laying there. Hopefully, come back with a nice golden tan. Um, and golf season's officially begun. You'll see
Yeah.
some scores posted on the Gin app. You can follow Ryan and I. We're on there. You'll see our scores. You can check in. I know they got the favorites button. Ryan's favorite on mine, and I'm
Mike's
keeping my
favorite on mine.
I got my daily tabs going, so I know when he tees off. So 5 seconds later, the damn thing better be posted. Otherwise, a text is being received. It's how we operate around here, boys and girls.
Yeah. I may or may not, but I'm definitely telling Mike different tee times, so I have at least a second to breathe after my round because I cannot wait for all the videos I see of Caledonia. I can't wait to tee off, play
Yeah,
my
no doubt.
round, have a cocktail, and watch the sunset over the river swamp over the horizon that they have there. Little balcony overlooking. I'm really excited for that. So
Yeah,
uh,
I can't wait to see your videos come out of that spot. I truly can. I think you got a lot of the good things going with that spot. I think we see it all the time on all the Myrtle Beach stuff. Like
mhm.
those are the two spots that people constantly talk about that 18th hole there. Like you're going to have a nice couple videos that I'm kind of excited to watch. And I can't wait to kind of grill you about it, because I think where you're going and the places you're playing are more um,
More
known,
known. Yeah.
more known to the everyday guy. So my golf courses are not that. So I'm kind of curious to grill you next week about it.
If I'm being honest, I'm a little nervous that I miss stuff. Because this, as we've always said, this is a one-man operation, two-man operations, you and me. So I go down there, I'm by myself. I got to play golf. I got to do all my recording. I got to take all the pictures. I got to remember to do all this stuff. And with how high profile these two courses are, between all the people that play there, and by all people, I don't just mean like the general public, but like you got Barstool was there, you got Good's been there, you got the No Laying Up guys, you
Golficity.
have Golficity was down there, you have all these guys that have been there that are much bigger productions than you and I are. I'd be lying if I wasn't saying there's some pressure to put out a video that is comparable, because of all the videos that have been out there. So
Well, sending an SOS. I mean, maybe we need an intern. Maybe we need an intern who's good in videos and editing and all that. So listen, any interest,
yeah,
the DMs and the emails are always open.
yep. Let us know. So yeah, hoping for some good stuff coming out of there. So
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't
yeah,
wait. Discover Matara's Italian Market and Catering in the heart of Rutherford, New Jersey. Nestled at 72 Park Avenue, your go-to destination for creating an authentic Italian dining experience. Recently honored as the best in Bergen County, Matara's is amazing from the moment you step inside. Immerse yourself in a world of imported retail products, cheeses, premium cold cuts, and the freshest baked bread, all complemented by the irresistible, creamy, fresh mozzarella. Experience convenience at your fingertips by ordering through the Matara's On Park app, available on both Apple and Google stores. Above the Market, the Loft is perfect for intimate family celebrations or even corporate events. For a sneak peek into Matara's world, follow them on Instagram at Matara's Italian Market. Step into Matara's and say ciao. Walk in as stranger, leave as family.
we're gonna talk. It is April. We're gonna talk Masters in April, because the Masters is coming up. That's not going to be this episode though, but stay tuned for our Masters preview. The Masters starts on April 11th. So that April 10th episode is going to be a master heavy episode. So that's next week's episode. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll talk little Masters, and
Better
again,
start
just
ready for your picks. And just another tease. Shane Bacon makes a couple picks on about the Masters that
does.
that he texted Kyle Porter of CBS his pick a long time ago. So stay tuned. Masters
Yeah.
week next week.
Yeah, I got some. How do you feel about your boy Tiger? You've made that prediction now several dozen times.
Well, I don't want to tease anything right now, but stay tuned to next week, April 10th.
Okay.
Big episode. I might even show up in my red shirt for the episode.
So we'll do the 10th. We'll talk about like a Masters preview, and then the next week we'll recap the Masters and our thoughts and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Mike, let's get into the meat of the episode here that everyone's probably been looking forward to. Everyone listening has been involved for the last couple weeks. Everybody that has voted, that has been involved really over the last month or so in the Fairway Faceoff. We have a final of
the march to golf greatness in the Garden State. I mean, this whole thing is taking on a head of its own. I think this has become an annual thing for you and I to come up with different ways to incorporate March Madness, to incorporate golfing in the Garden State. This idea that we had is, again, taken on a head of its own, and it's amazing. And I can't thank everybody enough, between how many more people have decided to follow the podcast because of this, how many of the golf courses have shared this to promote themselves. I'm blown away, as I've said probably now ad nauseum for the last 4 weeks. But this year's Fairway Faceoff champion again, it just wasn't even close. Ballyowen up at Crystal Springs wins by nearly 40 plus votes over Architects. Your number one pick, the number one.
We are the champions, my friends. Doo, 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 doo. And we'll keep on fighting till the end. Doo, doo, doo.
Yep, don't blame me fast forwarding through that. So Ballyowen, the number one overall pick, does what the number one overall pick should do and steamrolls every single matchup. Ballyowen, this year's Fairway Faceoff champion, the winner of March Madness 2024. I cannot wait to get my rear end up to Crystal Springs Resort to go see Ballyowen specifically, because the last time I played there, another NJSGA event, if you listened to last week, Kevin Purcell was our guest. They had the Public Links Championship up there, and that was the first time I ever saw that. That place is an absolute gem. I am just, the bagpiper and I just might be hanging out all afternoon. I am all in on going up to Ballyowen. Rye, congratulations on winning this year's event. Cherish it, enjoy it, because I'm not sure if it'll happen again.
I will cherish it. I'm super looking forward to it. I mean, I know both you and I have played that course for, in past years. It's been a while for both of us. I do know that, but that place is special, and I cannot tell you how much I'm looking forward to cherishing some of that pomp and circumstance. Sometimes you go to a place and it's like, okay, I parked, I check in, range, go play. Like there's no really absorbing anything of the bagpiper. There's no getting to watch anything. I am really excited to get up there. I'm really excited to check some stuff out up there. It's Crystal Springs, we're coming. And to your point, Ballyowen was my first pick, and in the words of the great philosopher, Nelly, first pick, first round, signing bonus profound, playing for his hometown, repping for his home crowd. I mean, just great. I had faith in him all the way through, and Ballyowen, their people showed out. The course is again, it speaks for itself. It's really a special place. That is back-to-back years, though, for me.
I don't recall. I don't live in the past. So it was a new year. Unfortunately, I guess it was the same result. But nonetheless, again, to your point, you had two very good golf courses there. We were looking to go to either one way or another.
Sure.
This just gives us more reason to head up to the northwest corner part of the state to go see the Crystal Springs Resort again. I do want to give a quick shout out to the resort Instagram handle as well, because sometimes a massive account like that is not willing and open to share outside people's stories. Thankfully, the Michelle over there at Crystal Springs Resort and Brian at the Ledbetter Academy there at Black Bear, they've been kind enough throughout this whole project, sharing things, helping to promote their golf courses, because they had quite a few in the running. But then I think that was the major difference with the Crystal Springs Resort Instagram handle, with as large as it is, sharing this out there. It just made a world of difference. So again, I thank everybody throughout this process that's gotten my DMs, have shared things, because you make the whole thing even more special. So thank you again. I really appreciate that. Ballyowen, guess it's time to pack our bags.
Coming in hot.
I'm like a part-time rapper and singer. Geez, I can't wait to see what your new Instagram bio is going to say on this thing.
I'm very excited about Ballyowen today. So yeah, there's been a lot of singing today. I don't know if you know, I am a world-class shower singer.
Let's leave it that way. And
people tell me my voice is like a mixture of Fergie and Jesus. So
I can't even make eye contact with you right now.
We're not even going
Your voice
down
is like
that
a combination of Fergie and
the
Jesus.
crazy part is,
for those that enjoyed that reference, you're welcome. I know Mike didn't catch it, so for those that had a chuckle at that reference, yeah, you're
the
you're
biggest
welcome.
problem there is I think you got all excited that when I said jack of all trades describing Shane Bacon, I think that kind of like meant you were a jack of all trades, because podcaster, singer, teacher, rapper, entertainer. I mean, I'm kind of scared to look at your Instagram profile or your bio after this. So nonetheless, Ballyowen, this year's champion. Um, you'll see some posts this week, or if not early next week, all about our champion, and hopefully a time and date when we're able to get up there. So congrats,
Absolutely.
Ballyowen, Fairway Faceoff champ.
Yeah. Yeah. Congrats. Again, we're coming in, like I said, coming in hot. So, I can't wait to get up there, Mike. I'm really excited. And really, I know it's the obvious thing. I'm excited to get to playing golf. I'm excited for the trip. I'm excited for just getting swings in nice weather. It's teasing us that nice weather's around the corner. So you and I have some big things coming up this season, and hopefully that's one of the kickoff ones. Mike, I think we send it to Shane Bacon now. I don't think we can top that. What do you think?
It works for me.
All right. That's all for Mike and I now. We're going to send you now to our interview we did with Shane Bacon. Again, Shane, jack of all trades, podcaster, announcer. He's got a really cool business that he's running. And he makes his predictions for the Masters. So here's our interview with Shane Bacon. Enjoy.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there, they're helping, they're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I just I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more. Again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs. So today's guest is another big-time treat for today's audience. He's a national broadcaster, a podcaster himself, a writer, and a host that covers the game in a multitude of ways. Today's guest is Shane Bacon. Shane, thanks so much for coming on today's show.
Yeah, appreciate it. We kind of screwed this up and did it on daylight savings time, so I think all of us are still figuring out exactly what time it is. But I'm glad we got it to work out.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for coming on, Shane.
So obviously for us, when we get guys like you on it, and I know sometimes the audience will say well, Mike, it's outside New Jersey. It doesn't necessarily have to do with what you guys talk a lot about, but we've been fortunate to expand a little bit into the Met area and snag guys like you and others throughout our little run so far here. But before we get into everything, why don't you give the audience a little bit of background background about you, like where you got to where you are, how you did it, and why you love the game of golf so much.
Yeah, I wanted to be a pro golfer, as I know a lot of people want to be as a young kid. But I also wanted to be a broadcaster. I remember when I was like 12, 13, 14 years old, I wanted to get into the broadcasting space. And so I went to college for journalism, didn't go to play golf, was going to play college golf and ended up having an injury my senior year because I had a decent AJGA record that had seen a little bit of a national attention, and ended up going to U of A in Tucson and wrote about the golf team for 4 years for the newspaper. And from that was kind of how I first jumped into the quote unquote media world. I was getting paid like $15 an article for the student newspaper, which at the time I thought I was like literally Bezos. You know, it was like the best thing ever.
Money, money, money,
Oh,
money.
I remember I opened like a checking account, and it was my own checking account, you know, with my daily Wildcat money in there. And then, yeah, I mean, from there, I, you know, kind of said yes to every job that was available. I was a runner for ESPN in college football, got some opportunities to intern at some TV stations, and then started writing my own blog. This was probably 06, 07. That got me a full-time job writing for Yahoo Sports, and that was kind of where it started. And then TV started in 14. I got a couple of opportunities to sneak into the TV space. And then when Fox got the USGA package in 2015, the overall producer there had reached out and was looking for some digital broadcasters just to do some of the digital feeds, the featured hole, feature group, stuff like that. And that was my first gig in 15 at Chambers Bay. And the next year I was hosting interviews at the U.S. Open for Fox at Oakmont. And in 2018, I was co-hosting the U.S. Open. And yeah, I mean, just kind of, you know, I mean, listen, as you guys know in this space, I'm sure being talented is some level to it, but mostly it's about luck and relationships. And so I got very lucky and fortunate at kind of these, you know, kind of left turn, right turn moments in my career. And that was basically how I got into TV. And now I'm a little bit more of a hybrid in my 2024 life. I do some TV, I do some podcasting, some writing, started a couple businesses, just trying to kind of diversify who I am. And also, I mean, I have two little kids at home. So one of the things I didn't want to do, I didn't want to be the guy that was on the road 40 weeks a year. So how do I avoid being on the road more than 20 weeks a year was basically how I planned this out, because I want to be home, especially as these kids are kind of in the developmental ages. So that's kind of where I sit right now, is doing a little bit of TV and a little bit of everything else.
Yeah, I mean that's all over. I mean, you got you know,
The Swiss Army knife of golf there.
yeah, the jack of all trades. I mean, literally, when you think about it, you got everything covered there. And it's crazy because when you come to the broadcasting side, because I listen to your voice, whether you put out, even your reel about like having the game become more positive and this being a week, like I listen to your voice and you just have that like Dan Hicks, that Jim Nance, that voice that just resonates, that like, all right, you kind of know who this is. They have credibility. Like, is there aspirations when you think long term? Because I know you're still a young buck. Like, do you still have aspirations to like get to that level and do that type of thing full time?
Maybe. I mean, I mean, what I've learned in this space, I mean, when you think about golf, right, is there's very few seats kind of atop the sport in terms of broadcasting. And what I'm trying to do, like my position, I'm kind of a host, play-by-play guy. So you mentioned, two of the guys that have the seats, right? It's Dan and it's Jim for CBS and NBC. And I mean, I don't see them going anywhere in the near future. And so I got to a point in my career where I was kind of looking up, where am I going to go next? I mean, I had a really good opportunity at Fox, before COVID hit, to probably potentially be the main guy there for golf. I mean, I know Joe was doing the U.S. Open, and I know he loved doing the U.S. Open, and I know he would do a couple of other things, maybe a couple of days at the U.S. Women's Open, or maybe do the weekend at the Amateur. But I was hosting, probably 90% of the golf at Fox already. And I think there was going to be an eventuality with Joe where he was likely probably going to either only do the U.S. Open or even maybe move on from the U.S. Open. And then, of course, circumstances hit, as I said, with luck, and COVID hits and Fox gets out of golf. And then all of a sudden that opportunity is gone. So, when you think about jobs in golf broadcasting and you're talking about like the top tier job, there are literally two people. And so when I started to think about that, would I like to have a main hosting gig at some point? Sure. Do I see that as a realistic opportunity considering how few opportunities there are out there? I don't know. And so I think when I started to look at that realistically was one of the moments where I went, okay, what else can I do in this space? A, to be at home a little bit more, and B, to still enjoy the game. You know, I mean, I don't compliment myself very much, but I do find that I've always had a relatively creative mind in terms of production and coming up with ideas and things like that. And so what I've done is teamed up with places that has allowed me to do that. I mean, I do a lot of work with the Fried Egg, and I love that team there. I do a lot of work with Scratch. Obviously, some big news coming out of that department over the last couple of days. I love doing things with them and pitching ideas their way. I'm having conversations with a couple other places right now about, you know, potentially new series or new video ideas, or even some like scripting and things like that. So, you know, I mean, yes, the job, long-winded way of saying, sure, that'd be a great job to have, but I'm covering my bases if those don't happen, right? So I guess that's where I'm at.
Yeah, that's one where you look up and you're like, okay, they're not going. There's no room for growth in this company.
And
So
why would they,
let me look.
Ryan? You know,
Exactly.
why would you leave that job? I mean, if you're Jim, who I consider the best golf broadcaster of all time, you know, if you're Jim and you're, you know, obviously you're kind of peeling back a little bit of what you do. I mean, calling his last Final Four last year and not being involved in college basketball this year with CBS, golf is something he's very passionate about, and I don't see him going anywhere in that space, and he shouldn't. I mean, he's still as good as he's ever been, if not better. And then obviously teaming up with Tony on the NFL side. I mean, Jim's a staple. Dan's a staple. Like, these people are who they are in the space, as they should be. Those chairs are probably not going to open for a long time. And so, again, it's like, are you going to sit around and wait, or can you make a little bit more opportunity yourself?
Right. I think back to like Vern Lundquist. Like, it's not like these guys are 80. You know, they're both in their 50s or 60s, so they have potentially 20 plus years of it to go. So.
And I don't mean that in a way like, let's get them out, because listen, we've been very fortunate to have Jim Nance on one of our best episodes ever. We had Dan Hicks on one of our best episodes ever, and I'm not trying to push them out, but I think that also comes with where golf is now. And I think about like the evolving of things, and not like it's time for you to go, but it's also like kind of the passing of the torch. And listen, to your credit, I could listen to both of them all the time, but I do think like within golf now, I think we're all at a point where we can realize it's time to maybe take the next step, and not like move past, but like let's pass it on. And I think that's getting a younger person in there, maybe, and I'm not saying more energetic, but a different view, a different optics, something, because I just think there's something in golf that needs to be changed. There has to be. And I'm not saying it leads up top, but having a different voice sometimes does matter.
Well, I would say this, Mike. I mean, I feel like the CBS team has done an incredible job of kind of aging down their broadcast team. I mean,
yes, agreed.
I think Dottie's amazing, right? Like, I love listening to Dottie on the golf course, and then having Colt as kind of that secondary on-course broadcaster with his humor and his quick wit and his relationships with the players has been incredible. And then you get Amanda involved in some of those fun events like they do at Phoenix, when they get them down on 16 and have them kind of team up for that event, especially on Saturday. I mean, Amanda brings a breath of fresh air to that team. Colt brings a breath of fresh air to that team. And then you get Trevor coming in as that main seat in terms of being the analyst. I mean, to me, Trevor is as dialed in as any analyst has been with the current crop of players as we've seen in a long, long time. And so, when you watch that broadcast, it feels very refreshing and very young. And then, I mean, on the NBC side, they've done a really good job of leaning heavily on Smiley, because Smiley is their young guy on the team. And I mean,
they're Colt Knost. He's their young, quick-witted guy.
And there is something to be said about a guy that can go up to a player during a round, during a tournament, and ask him a question, and they not get annoyed or shove off, or the caddy like, what the hell are you doing here? And Smiley has that relationship. Like, he's not going to go up to Jordan on 17T, tie for the lead on Sunday, but I'm sure he feels comfortable enough to go up to Jordan on the tee on a Friday and say, hey, would you hit in there? Or did the wind kill that? Whatever the case may be, that because he's got that relationship, that friendly relationship with those guys. And that's something that as you get older just goes away. I mean, it's just part of life, right? Like, what am I going to say to a 20-year-old as a 40-year-old dude that doesn't just sound like the old guy asking you a question? Like, you've got to have those relationships to feel comfortable to do that.
Sure.
So there is, Mike, I get your point, but what I would say is it does feel like there's at least awareness of trying to age these things down and bringing people in that can kind of throw a curveball in terms of the perspective you bring. And those are some of those names that are doing that right now, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, valid point.
I actually caught it on Friday. I had never seen it before, but at Bay Hill they had they call it Fridays with Smiley or something like that. They had Max Homa sit down in the chair, Jordan Spieth sit in the chair, and they're on one of the holes, so they're interviewing like off to the side while like the golfers are going by. And again, he's got that relationship where like after some guy hits a shot, like they're in kind of like the landing zone, right? So they watch someone hit, and then I forget who it was, but it was Jordan and Smiley, and whoever hit the shot like pointed over, gave a thumbs up, said, "What'd you think of that?" or something like that, and just kept walking. But like to your point, they're trying to go to that younger crowd, Smiley and again Jordan, again younger guys on the tour, and going to somebody like that that can try grabbing a little bit more youth than again like a 40-year-old trying to tell a 20-year-old what to say. Kind of sounds a little bit like old man get off my lawn kind of thing.
Well, and Ryan, look at kind of the common denominator of all of these new age media attempts by places. And it's really been Max Homa. I mean, you think about Torrey last year. Who's the first walk and talk, right? It's Max. Max goes on to win that golf tournament. But Max is the outlier in this business. Like, Max is amazing at talking about golf. He's very funny. He's very quick-witted. Like, I've seen it across all spectrums with him. I mean, obviously getting to do the podcast with him for a year and a half, but just texting and chatting and things like that. Like, you see Max in those in the right environment, like when he's on Bob Does Sports, for instance, like his humor and his awareness and his brilliance. I mean, Max is a very smart dude. I don't know if he gets enough credit for how intelligent he is, off the top. I mean, Max is the outlier in these instances. So like if you're Smiley and you're going to throw out this new idea, you should be going to Max first like they did, right? Because Max is going to kill it no matter who he's sitting up there with.
And that's who they want to market, right? That's who they want to press, is a guy who's funny, quick-witted, smart, knows the game, good, also like you wouldn't go to someone who's like the 120th ranked player in the world for this. He's got game. So, and then what he does on Twitter with roasting people, like he's funny with that. So he's got everything going on for him. And I don't know anyone that doesn't like Max, and I don't know how you couldn't.
Yeah, I feel like Max is very in tune to what goes on. It's very obvious, and it's refreshing. I think honestly to sit back and watch it at times.
Sure.
But Shane, let's also talk about like your book, because I think as obviously not knowing your background in terms of being a writer, obviously now that kind of makes more sense when you were at U of A and you wrote a lot and then you see the book. Is that kind of like what inspired you to write The Golfer's Zoo?
Yeah, so it's a children's golf book for people that out there that haven't heard of it. It's the idea of it. Honestly, the idea came kind of from two places. One is we had our son. I have two kids now. My son's turning 5 this year. Had our son a few years ago. And as you guys know, when you're a golf person, you get a lot of golf shit in the mail when stuff happens. Even if you don't want it, you get it in the mail. I was shocked by how little amount of golf books there were for kids out there. I mean, I figured I'd get flooded with this when we had our first kid. And there was basically one golf book that came our way, and it was this alphabet golf book. And so I did a little digging and, again, was surprised by the lack of children's golf books out there because golf people like to buy golf stuff for their kids. Grandparents, golf family members, they want to buy you golf stuff. So that was basically why I kind of stepped into the space. And then my buddy Joel Klatt, who does all the college football for Fox, I remember Joel told me a piece of advice. He has 3 boys. They're now a little bit older now. I think his oldest is 11 or 12. And he said when he goes to the golf course with the boys, they play a hole of golf that's golf. Like they hit it and they try to score. And then they play a hole where it's whatever the kids want to do. Like they don't even have to swing a club. They don't even have to get the golf club out, like drive the cart. And he kept mentioning animals as this was happening. Like we go to the pond, we look at the fish, we throw rocks, we see the turtles fall in. And it just kind of drummed up an idea of like every golf course is its own zoo when you think about it. Like your golf course might have bears on it, mine might have snakes on it. Like, but everybody's got something on it, right? There's not a golf course that exists that doesn't have, friendly or unfriendly animals that come out. I mean, think about what happens, early season DP World Tour when everything you see is like giraffes on the golf course and these monkeys and stuff like that as they kind of tour the world. And so that was basically where the idea derived from. And then, I teamed up with an independent publisher who's been great, Back Nine Press. And we put it out a year and a half ago or so, and it's done well. And it's been fun to see people, DM. It's my kid's favorite book. I played golf on Friday. with a buddy of mine. I live in the Northeast, so we haven't been playing a lot of golf. And I played golf on Friday because the weather was decent. And one of my buddies said his daughter, they had a class project. Pull out your favorite book and then write down a question you'd ask the author. And she pulled the Golfer Zoo out, but the question was, why did they not play the 10th hole? Like, she said that, like, it drives her nuts. And I'm like, well, we had like 32 pages to do this book in, you know? So, I mean, we had to cut some holes, but it was funny that, like, that was like the small detail she noticed is like, why did they skip over 10? So, I mean, you know, kids are funny, and some of the feedback I've received from that has been great. And it was just a fun little project to do. And it's been fruitful and it's been fun.
Second edition, are we putting the 10th hole in?
Yeah, maybe it'll get second edition. The 10th will be
Starting on the back
involved.
nine.
Halfway house might be in there. Yeah, like a giraffe serving beers or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll workshop that for sure.
What's the demographic of the book? How old? Like, what's the ages there?
Yeah, I'd say probably 3 to 7 is kind of the comfortable age group. Like, once they're starting to understand as you're reading the books a little bit more than just these are words and these are pictures. Like, the idea is mom and dad go golfing. They always leave. Where are they going? They're going to the golf course, and these are all the critters that are out on the golf course. So, you know, once the kids start to kind of understand, like, you know, cause and effect, I guess you could say, I think that's kind of the ideal age.
And that's also the perfect age for, like, so my nephew is is right in that age. He's 5 years old, but we took him out golfing last year, and he rode in the cart. You know, he had like a putter. My buddy had gotten him like a putter, so he kind of rode. But just riding the golf cart was like the funnest thing for him, and he was having a blast with it. But to your point, like, you're not hammering at the range at 5 years old, 7 years old, especially 3 years old. So getting them into golf is a way to make it fun and do things like play a hole for real. And then let's go do whatever you want for a hole.
Yeah, Ryan, like my son turns 5 this year, right? And you know, I never wanted to push what I like on these kids. I mean, it inevitably happens, like golf's on the TV or basketball's on the TV or whatever the case may be, right? Like, what I'm interested in is sports and things like that. And I think inevitably the kids start to want to like what dad likes, right? But I got my kid like a putter right when he was born, and Ping made him some golf clubs when he was 3. I mean, this kid's gotten a pretty dialed setup and has never had any interest in golf. Like, doesn't care. I mean, we got a putting chipping green in my backyard, and they use it like for the sandbox. That's all they really use it for. But Ryan, I've never given up taking him to the golf course. And again, it's like, let's go ride in the golf cart for half an hour. And I'll tell you this, the last couple of weeks, he's asked multiple times, like, can we go to the golf course? And so maybe it's not going to happen right when you hope it happens, but I think I've laid enough. I think I've laid down enough seeds to where he's starting to kind of follow that path to maybe caring. And that's all I hope for, is I want you to maybe care about it. And then if you give it a try and you like it, then, you know, maybe eventually we can start to play together.
Yeah, I love that. That's I tell Mike all the time, I'm very jealous. I'm the only one, excuse me, I'm the only one in my family that golfs. So, like, Mike getting to go play with his brother and his dad, I always get super jealous over, because that's something that's golf's got a magical aura about it in that place, when you can play with your family, or like you eventually getting to play with your sons. Like, even just that thought of you guys, just him being 25 years old, new in his life, doing whatever he's doing, you being however old that math comes out to, and you guys just having a day on the golf course, just two guys talk. That resonates nicely with me, because again, I don't have that, so I try to find it elsewhere.
Yeah, and to your point, Shane, I have 2 daughters, 12 and 9, and my youngest is more like of the athlete, and I'll say to her all the time, you want to go ride in a golf cart? And we'll go, and she'll hit some shots, and she'll putt on all the greens, and she'll run around, and we'll get done the hole, and I'll play the hole, and I'll say, what'd you make? She's like, what did you make? I said, I made a 5. She goes, I made a 5 too. And we just ride on the cart. She'll drive the cart on occasion because that's what she enjoys. But like, my goal all the time is like, make her just enjoy it. Like, we're not hitting here grinding over how to chip it properly, how to tee it up properly. Like, you do what you want, you hit it when you want, you putt it when you want. You know,
it's a stressful enough game. Let's like let them have fun when they don't care about the stress part of it, right? It's like enjoy this until you start to go, God, I'm bogeyed my last 3 holes. This sucks, you know. And you're like, oh no, you're supposed to enjoy it. The same buddy with the daughter the other day, he's like, didn't play great for about 12 holes, and he goes, first round of the year, I already hate it. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Now we're back into it.
I saw an interview one time with Podrick Harrington, and his kids are, he was talking about growing up with his kids, and he's like, I'd always let them be fun with the game, like take them out. They want to drive the golf cart, like I'd let them drive the golf cart. But then after every single time they went and got ice cream, because they can associate having fun and getting ice cream with the golf. So it was just, again, trying to connect them with ways to make it fun.
I mean, like the halfway, like I think about as a kid, like I got into golf late as a kid. I was a baseball player, basketball player. Like I didn't care about golf. My dad wanted me to be a golfer. I didn't care about it until I was probably 12, 13 years old. And then I kind of switched from being obsessed with baseball into showing a little bit of potential in the golf space. Even playing competitive junior golf and high school tournaments, stuff like that. I remember as a kid, the root beers and the M&Ms. Like that's the stuff I remember as a kid, because that's what the golf course was to me until I was 15, right? So, to your point, Ryan, it's like link it to something that they like, and then they might ask to go a couple more times than they usually do. That's the best you can do.
So Shane, I obviously watched the unveiling when you hosted the MGA and you guys went through the whole tournament schedule, and again, being like the golf nerd I am. And I look ahead to the MGA schedule because there's a lot of things on there. When you're talking like golfing in the Garden State, they have what I think we have some of the best golf courses here in the country. When you're talking about, especially on the private side, they are really second to none. And when you look at the schedule for the MGA, like, what does a schedule for you look like on a competitive basis? Because there's one for me that I see that is my home course. The home course I grew up playing was Manasquan River. That was my spot. Dad's a former club champion, like uncle, grandfather, everybody. We lived playing there. And when I found out it was coming there, and I know all the big names in the area that can really, really golf their golf ball, and a lot of them are mid-ams. When you look at your schedule and playing wise, because no offense, you're a very, very good player now too. What does a schedule like yours entail?
Yeah, so it's honestly if I'm home or not. Like, I mean, that's basically how I look at it. Unfortunately, like the Met schedule, for instance, I can't play the Open or the Am, which is a bummer. The Am's at Somerset, which I mean, I just want to play in that event so much. One of my favorite courses I've ever played. I'm on the road those weeks, right? So I lived in Arizona for a long time, and the golf season takes you on the road during the summer. When you live in Arizona, that's a great thing because the summers suck in Arizona. Not so great when you live in the Northeast. Like, all the golf tournaments and like golf season summer, and I'm like, why am I traveling all the time? Like I'm home all winter. But yeah, like I was laying it out this year. I mean, I'm going to play in. I'll probably play in 2 to 3 Met events. I'm in the Ike because of my finish there last year, so I'm going to play in that one.
Year, top 10.
Yeah, played well, had a good final round. I'll play in probably 2 or 3 Met events. I'm going to play in, I think I'm going to play in 3 Connecticut CSGA events. So Connecticut Am and Open. I think I'm in for those, and the Mid-Am as well. And then I'll do the qualifiers. Like I'll do US Open, Amateur, Mid-Am qualifiers, 4-ball as well. And then like I traveled in February, I traveled down to Florida and played Gasparilla. I'm going to play in a couple more invitationals this year. I mean, I turned 40 in November. I feel like I can still play competitive golf. I think my mind, in a twist of fate, my mind is as good as it's ever been in terms of competition. I think I just care as little as I've ever cared. Like if I go out and shoot 65 or 85, like I don't care, and I used to care a lot. And it's like not caring is a major part of golf, as you know.
Crazy.
It's a huge part of it.
Crazy.
And so I'm trying, like one of my goals this year, I don't really do resolutions, but one of my goals for 24 was commit more time to your own game. So I've got a schedule like Tuesdays, Thursdays this year when our golf course opens up, which is a couple weeks away. I'm going to be first on the range on Tuesday, Thursdays in the morning, get up early, get out of the house, try not to wake up the kids, and be on the range and try to practice for an hour and a half. And then come home and like be home by 9:30, and then I'll be able to do whatever I need to do with the kids. But putting a little bit more time in my golf game, and then when I am around or when it's conducive to my schedule, playing golf tournaments, because I love competing. I love the feeling of it. Like casual golf is great with buddies and things like that, but like I get the most out of what can I do competition wise, and like grinding the final round at the Gasparilla trying to make the cut in 30-mile-an-hour winds the other day with Parziali. Like that's the shit I like, So like I'm hoping that I get to do a little bit more of that in 24, and like my schedule fills up, but my wife knows I love doing it too, and she's supportive of it. So I'll play in 6, 7, 8 events up here.
Yeah. Get those competitive juices flowing. It's definitely something that, like you said, you grew up an athlete, so that's that you have that built into you innately. So
I mean, Mike, I like the pull. It's even when you don't do it, like even when you don't pull off the shot or you get nervy and miss a putt. To me, I think the old way I thought was being so frustrated in that moment. And now it's like, okay, how can I, next time I'm in this situation, what was I thinking about? Should I have backed off? Like, I just feel like even when it doesn't go my way, I enjoy breaking it down, and I didn't used to enjoy that stuff. So even when it's bad, I feel like I'm looking to the next event to see what I can do next.
That resonates so much because I know I was fortunate. I played collegiate golf. I turned 40 in November. Well, this past November. You turned 40 in November?
No. I was November 12th, turned 40. I'm 40 now. Yeah.
I turned 40 November 26.
so we got I'm not 40, but I'm the 14th of November. So we got
wow,
a
look at
bunch
that.
we got a bunch of
There you
November
go.
birthdays.
There you go. But I know when you say that nervy feeling because I played collegiate golf and it was, that competition was great. And then I had a family, had some kids and literally didn't play. And then during COVID, I said to my wife, I want to maybe dabble a little bit. And I never was so nervous on the range, trying to qualify for the state amateur here in New Jersey, like shanking balls. My hands are shaking. And I left there. I don't even remember, I shot 78, 79, didn't even come close to making the cut. But I was like, that was awesome. Like that was a fun feeling. And then it's sometimes hard when you step outside like the competition bubble to then play friendly golf for it to be like the same because you're like, damn, I want more of that competition where I have to putt everything out. And I got to make sure, like, I get what you're saying. Like that feeling is so good.
Mike, so I qualified for the amateur last year. It's the first time I ever got in the U.S. amateur. And my first round was Colorado Golf Club. And I don't know about you, we're same age. When I was growing up playing competitive junior golf, and then when I tried to play mini tour golf for a couple years, that was like pre-hit driver everywhere era, where like you'd scale back, especially if you were nervous. Now it's like just hit driver everywhere. Like that's the club I'm going to hit the straightest. But first tee amateur Colorado Golf Club first hole's like 650 par 5. Like you're hitting it. I mean, you're sending it. Like there's no other play but driver. And there is just trash down both sides of the fairway. It's like you miss it left, you miss it right. It's probably a re-tee. And I remember stepping into that shot and I was like, I might whiff this. I might top it. And I'm like, I don't know what you're going to do here, but just all I know is I'm swinging hard. It's like, I'm just going to swing really hard. I don't know. I was so nervous, like my hand, and I hit a pretty good tee shot. I was pretty proud of myself, but yeah, it's like you're walking out of there and I tell myself, I think about this sometimes, Mike, where it's like, why does this make you this way? Like, why does this make you feel this way when my wife, who's not a golfer, will say stuff like, what do you win this week? And I'm like, you win nothing. I'm playing amateur golf. This is what I'm playing amateur golf. You win zero things. But for me, like one shot here or there matters the world, when you're out there.
Dude, it's so true. Everything you say, like, I know the feeling. And then when you get a taste of it and then you do well, you're like, holy hell, like, give me more of this. Let me do more. And then it literally takes that one bad shot. You're like, all right, you suck all of a sudden. You can't hit a shot. Meanwhile, you could have just played the last 5 2 under and you're like, I don't know what happened. But yeah, dude, I get it. And that's why when I saw the unveiling of the schedule for the MGA, like I had known from people at Manasquan River that the tournament for the Mid-Am was coming there. And that's probably a little far south compared to other MGA events in terms of where they like to have them. But having it there and knowing some of the names that have won, that play, that are Mid-Ams in our area, like I just can't wait to see them there, experience it, because I think that golf course, Ryan and I play it. We've seen it. It is a true gem. And if that wind blows and those greens are rolling, like it could be very, very interesting.
Well, I mean, like this is a perfect example of living in the Northeast. So I moved here in 21, right? And I mean, I know of the famous golf courses in the Northeast, like the Wingfoots and the Fisher's Islands and all these things, right? Like everybody that pays attention to this stuff knows a certain amount of golf courses and areas. And I knew this golf area was as rich as they come. What I didn't know was how many awesome golf courses there are that I'd never heard of, right? And like to your point, you look through the schedule, I know 2 of the courses on the MGA schedule, but I also know that every one of these is going to be awesome. So when you like, that's another part of playing in this stuff. It's like playing in CSGA stuff and playing in the Met. It allows you to see a lot of these places in great condition that you'd otherwise never play. And so I really love that part of it. Like, I just think it's a lot of fun to get to kind of experience. You buy a hat, you remember the golf course, you might never see it again, but the Northeast is as rich as any area in the country, I think, in terms of not just the top 20 places.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Mike and I have said that for a while, that like the top is as good as it gets here, but you go like New Jersey, obviously that's where we focus, but you go down the list, like there's some courses in our down the top 20 that would be top 5 in other states, or like
Totally.
It's such a wealth of riches here, because you got to keep up with the Joneses.
And knowing that you're like a big hat guy, because I listen, I the running joke on the podcast is I live on my phone, and I am like, no one, anybody DMs me, there's not someone that responds faster to a DM than this guy. Like, I am like on it because
so Mike, what's our like daily, you get the screen time notification Sunday mornings?
I'm not telling you. I'm not telling you.
Are we like over
I don't need to announce that to the world.
Okay. Are we over under like 7.5 hours?
It's over. Whatever it is, it's over.
Okay.
Whatever you're going to put it at, you can put it at 25 hours a day. It's still over.
Because I'm trying to cut back, and like I'm trying to be less on it, but I know what you mean.
But to my point as to why I'm on it a lot, and I always feel like, and it's not to give it a reason or an excuse, but like for guys like Ryan and I who are starting this thing out, that are trying to connect with so many like-minded people, I know that when you're responding to a DM or someone else is shooting me a comment or something, I know you're on the phone. So if I don't instantly respond or I wait on it, I miss my chance. And I think the perfect example that I gave to Ryan one time is, I was always trying to get Morgan Hoffman on. I was like, Morgan Hoffman is a New Jersey guy through and through. His story's amazing. I need to find a way to connect with him. And just like everybody else, every so often, randomly, I throw a DM out there, whether it was on Twitter or if it was on Instagram, and I didn't get anything back. Well, there was one night, it was like 10:19, 10:20, and I get a DM on my phone, and it pops up, it says Morgan Hoffman. I'm like, oh my God. So I literally tell my wife, hold on a second. I get the phone, and I start responding to him. And before I know it, one thing leads to another. Now we open the lines of communication. We share our cell phone numbers. I'm like, listen, you tell me what time works for you, Ryan, and I will make it happen. So for guys like us, like, I jokingly say that no one responds faster, but I do believe it, because those are reasons and ways that I can connect with guys like you, Morgan Hoffman. Same thing with Jim Nance. Like, I can't get guys like that on the show if I'm only going to respond when it's convenient for me.
Totally. I mean, the grind doesn't sleep, I mean, that's
right.
the key to it, right? It's like, I mean, if you're grinding, and I shout out anybody that's grinding, man, because I mean, this is like this business, the media space, like the golf media space. I mean, it's ever growing, and everybody wants to crack at it, right? But you've got to be different. You got to be unique. It's got to be interesting. Like, you've got to try. And to your point, grinding on the trying. I mean, people don't understand. Like, I remember, I mean, when I started the Clubhouse, which was my first podcast, I mean, I think I started it in 2016, 2017. Literally, I remember I got Rory one time by DM him on Twitter. And I was like, yo, will you come on? He's like, I'm injured. I'm doing nothing else. I'm like, sweet, let's come on. And then, it's like, as easy as that is, but it doesn't always happen. And then all of a sudden you catch him at the right time in the right frame of mind. Like you're saying, he says yes. Then you, like you said, you've got to respond pretty quickly back about a time, or he's going to forget what you even asked.
Dude, it's to your point, like when we got Danny Rappaport on a few weeks ago, he had said the first thing he opened with was persistence is key. I love the grind, and I'm all about that. He's like, I'm here to reward that. So like, even getting guys like Danny, who may not be a golfer, but is so in tune to what's going on, like,
for sure,
that's part of the grind that I jokingly say that I live on my phone, but I do think it is kind of important in terms of connecting with guys like you guys. So I completely forgot where I was going with my train of thought. Because
you were asking me about my hats.
Your hats.
The hats.
Yeah, hats.
I got you, baby.
See,
I forgot too.
You got me thinking, do I need to check my phone right now? But yeah, so the hats, listen, obviously I see that getting posted all the time, and I know, yes, there you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, see? And I know that you got your logo. You got your logo company going.
Yeah.
Another thing that, like, again, I see is the logo on the hat something that fuels the business side of it too? Like when someone says, hey, listen, here's my initial logo, make it better. Find a way to make it different, make it more creative. Is that something that inspires you when you see the hats as to why you love the hats so much?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a hat guy my whole life. The other thing with the hats is when you, as you guys know, like when you start to do this and you build the following and things like that, you get invited to play a lot of golf, and a lot of that golf is free. Well, my thing is, if I'm playing free golf, I'm throwing the outside guys $20 each. So like you're going to get $20 a person per group if you're giving us free golf, and also I need to buy something in the shop. Well, the hat was like the best price point for that. I mean, a hat is $20 to $30. You're not buying $100 polo, but you're also not buying a $5 ball marker. I liked hats, so that was basically where it started. But yeah, I mean, like if you have a cool logo, people want to buy your stuff. If you have a shitty logo, nobody wants to buy it. Like that's the honest truth about a golf shop.
That's
And
the black and white of it.
there's nothing to it. Like if you go to MacArthur, you're spending $200 in the shop. And
Love that
no,
logo.
and no
that
offense
logo.
to the TPC networks, but if you go to TPC Scottsdale, you might not be buying anything because the logo's not great, right? And so like that was basically what we like where the idea of pushing the logo sales went was we can help not just your golf course be more identifiable. We can help with the bottom line of your sales if you allow us a crack at your logo and make it different and make it unique. And what we're seeing now is there's a lot of that like if you know logo work going where you don't even want people to know what it is. Like it's your
Yeah.
buddy's trip, it's
No
your
doubt.
secondary course
Yeah.
logo. Like you don't even want people to know what the logo is or what golf course it's associated with. Maybe you want somebody to ask you about it. But I mean, we've done a ton of that secondary member logo stuff that is like a little thing at the shop. Maybe it's a drink at in the bar. Maybe it's a person that has existed at the club, or maybe it's just some wacky idea that somebody had. But yeah, I mean, to me, it's everything. Like if you have a good logo, everybody's going to want to wear it. I mean, you and I could go down the top 10 and we'd probably have the same top 10, I mean,
I love MacArthur.
MacArthur,
is
such a good
Marion,
one.
Wingfoot,
Yep.
like these places that have epic logos. And then you and I could probably name 10 that are terrible, and then I'm sure those shops, if you jumped into the bottom line of those shops versus the awesome logo shops, there'd be a massive difference.
I think you're right about like that. If you know kind of thing. Like it's the mystique of it. It's like, oh, you don't know this milk bottle. Like, let me tell you about this club. And it's like, it's nondescript, but like, oh, it tells you how good this place is because it's mysterious. The mystique behind it is the gripping
Totally.
part of it.
Totally.
Do you have a
yeah.
favorite logo?
I think Marion is my favorite. I mean, I think Marion is the best course logo. I think both with kind of the story of how it came about and then also just what it is. I mean, it's the one that to me that kind of stands out.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. It's hard
Yeah.
to argue that one. Hard to,
Mike and I talk all the time about like going back to like the hats. He's not a hat guy, and I.
What do you wear on the course, Mike? Like, what do you?
I like to show this. I like to show this beautiful face.
So you go no hat even when you play.
Never.
Wow.
And I'll tell you why. Because there are times where I can become a little crazy on the golf course. I am like, when I play, every round for me is like the most competitive round. It's the end all be all.
Okay.
So like I tried to wear a hat a couple times, and like the brim for my head is never at a good length. It's always too far.
You need to get
And when
Jesper. You need to go Jesper style. Flip that bad boy up. you
Oh,
know?
I used to try wearing
There you go.
I used to try wearing visors, like anything with a shorter brim, because
Yep.
I did enjoy like the idea of having a hat because I always have a shaved head and I'm always getting lotioned up nonstop.
Yep.
But the brim always bothered me. Whether I was like, it was always in my vision, and if I needed an excuse, I blamed the freaking hat. So now
Yep.
it's like less is more, and there's no complaining. You're the only one to blame.
All right, I'm into it.
You know?
I'm into it.
So
I mean,
listen,
like I can't do buckets for that reason. Like buckets, I struggle with because I can always see the kind of the edge of the rim, like around my hat. So I at least and I've seen some that are super massive. You feel like you're that kid on the Sandlot with the bill. Where it's like just like so far out, it's like covering your feet.
his
I've
bill and sandlot is so long.
It's crazy, right?
I've even tried buying junior hats to see, like, okay, let me see if I get a shorter brim. Like, I'll try that. And then it's like too small in my head, but the brim is perfect length. And I'm like, I'm not Rory McIlroy where they're making their specially designed hats
Right.
just
Yeah.
for him.
Right.
I'm the average Joe that's going to spend $25. He ain't doing that for me.
No,
So
no.
I just
One day,
just-
one of these days, we'll
Yeah.
get with the Mike inspired hat link. You know.
Oh, that would be great. That'd be
But
great.
that's what I am the hat guy on the podcast. So that's kind of I you worded it how I feel, and I wasn't ever able to word it, but like I'm a bigger guy. Usually clubs don't have polos that fit me in a shop because they're they only go up to a certain, so like hats are something that I can rock, and I as I got Ballyowen on now. So yeah, that's I loved how you said that before. It's like something that I'm playing free golf, so I can throw you some money in the shop. I love that.
Oh,
So it's good to see you're a hat guy.
It's the best. I mean, it's the amount of hats I have right now is crazy. And so I joined the Ping team last year. I'm doing some work with Ping. We're doing a Ping podcast that's been great with Marty Jertson, the Ping Proving Grounds podcast, and it's kind of like an in-depth nerdy dive into golf, like why do certain things happen the way they happen, and then we'll have some smart guys on to explain things like that. It's been a lot of fun to do. But Ping has added to my hat collection like fourfold, and now I have like specific just Ping areas in my golf closet, where it's like 60 Ping hats, and I'm like, man, this is not going down. This is going up. Like my hat guy's a Ping hat right now. My hat collection is ever growing.
What do you do with the hats that you don't use that you're like that were original? You ever throw them out? I have hats that are like 15 years old that I just can't bring myself to getting rid of.
Yeah, so the guy that runs our caddy program at my club in Connecticut at Brookline, he deals with like a lot of people that have like substance abuse issues and things like that. I bring him a trash bag of clothes, shoes, hats probably every 3 months, and then he distributes them as he sees fit. But that's basically my way of doing it. I mean, none of my, if they're really like gross and like, sweated through or something like that, I'll throw them away. But I have so many, there are a few that are like that. So most of mine are relatively new, in a sense. So I'll take those down there to Brookline, and he'll pass them out, and whoever needs them needs them.
Just kind of go through them. Okay, there you go. Maybe I got something there.
Find somebody. That's all my golf stuff though, Ryan. It's like find somebody that can use it. Like that's the thing about golf, right? As long as it's not the most beat up wedge you've ever seen, or a hat that you've sweated through 12 times during summer rounds, it's like somebody could probably use it. And I mean, that's the thing, is like hand-me-down golf clubs, anything like that. It's like find some junior, like I'm a lefty, right? Find some junior lefty that needs new clubs. It's like, I'll send you a set of clubs. I've got 5 sets of irons I'm not using anymore. Just use them, use them and be respectful of them. And then, once you are done with them, see if there's somebody you can pass them down to as well.
Yeah.
Have you always been a Ping guy?
I've been a Ping guy for a long time. So I lived in Arizona for a long time. So, I mean, they were always extremely nice to me, even like, when I was just like blogging, and this was the wild west of the internet, right? When like we didn't know what mattered or what people read or whatever. Like they would sing me clubs. They would fit me in their works program. I mean, they went out of their way to make me feel like I mattered when I didn't matter in that space. And so I've had a great relationship with that team for a long time. And when they came to me last year and asked if I had any interest in doing this stuff, I mean, I jumped at it. I was pumped for it. I respect the company. I respect the people. And I'm not just saying this because I work with them. Like this is truly how I feel. Like there are people there that have been working there since I got into the golf media business in 2007, and they're still doing a great job. And I just think it's a cool company, and I think their golf clubs are awesome. And I mean, I've used their driver I've used a Ping driver for probably 25 straight years, so
Wow.
I mean, it's been most of my life.
Yeah, I always curious about that, because it's one thing to be sponsored or work with a company, but it's also a different thing if you, and I don't even know if you would be allowed to say it, but like if you truly believed in it. And I obviously, as a kid growing up, the Ping Answer, the putter, was always like what Dad
Right.
had in the bag all the time. It was like that goldish, metallic, like dark. Like I vividly remember that with the Ping grip on it. Like those are things that I kind of remember. And I just didn't know, like growing up, was Ping always like kind of the go-to, knowing that golf was something you've always done.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, you probably remember this one, Mike. Remember the ISI driver, the black one, like the big, massive black
Yeah,
one? Like I played that. I mean, I played that one forever. Had a hoofer bag. I think I had the 3-wood in that club as well. And then, like I said, when I got out of college, I probably had a Ping driver in there since I was 19 or 20. So, I mean, to your point, to say I believe in them, like
You're in.
I've been believing in them for a long, long time. Because I mean, like we all know this. Like, there are certain driver companies that you look down at the driver and it makes sense to you or it doesn't. And a lot of this stuff is aesthetic now. Like, most companies make awesome golf clubs now, right?
Yeah,
Like,
no doubt.
I mean, with technology and the way we advance, I mean, most of the stuff's great. It's what's great for you. And Ping has always been great for me. And so again, it just made a lot of sense, right? It's like the girl you dated when you were young and stupid, and you always knew like you might end up with her, and then you see her out when you're 28 and you go, all right, like, we might have a chance here. Like, it's kind of felt like that. Like, Ping and I dated for a long time, and it's nice to finally get married.
It's a great analogy. It's a great
That really
analogy.
is. That's perfect.
That's icing on the cake right there. But listen, Shane, obviously, we could sit here and talk to you for hours. I mean, this is like sometimes for us, the conversations ends up being super easy and it just flows and it's smooth. And that's always what Ryan and I preach. And that's our, kind of like
sure.
our goal with all these. But I can't thank you enough for coming on here Sunday morning, giving us an hour of your time. Nonetheless on daylight savings time too. So, I really do appreciate you and I can't thank you enough.
Well, I mean, you guys make it easy, so I appreciate it. And by the way, this is perfect because this runs right into our babysitter coming over for 3 hours. So it was like I get the hour podcast break where I'm working, and then I got the 3 hour sitter break.
There you go.
I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got the sitter break, so I might just stay in the seat and chill. But no, I mean, this has been great, and I mean, anytime, if you guys, later in the year, you want to recap the season or anything like that, just holler at me.
Give me one final prediction on who wins the Masters.
Oh man, I I have this weird inkling that Bryson's going to win the Masters.
Wow.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and like he's never played, outside of the year he was the amateur, when he came off that amateur win in Chicago and went and played with Jordan. I think that was 16. And he was like a shot off the lead or something going at 18 that first round. Remember? And then he hit it left. I think he made double or triple. He hadn't played great there really since that opening round for 17 holes. But I just had this feeling. I texted.
Well, when you call it a par 67, it's you're doing a disservice to the golf gods.
This is not because of what Bryson says. This is not a Bryson says segment. This is Bryson as a golfer. I would not follow what he had to say about himself. But yeah, I texted Kyle Porter in like January randomly and said, I just want you to know I think Bryson's going to win the Masters. And he wrote back, I'm convinced you're just texting everybody that we know, a different player, so you can look really smart by the end of it. No, I swear. But I like Bryson. I like Neiman a lot there as well. And I'll tell you this, like, I would be shocked if Zalatoris isn't in the top 5 at Augusta. Just the way he's ball striking it. You look in the early season runs, if you play well at Riv and you play well at Bay Hill, you typically play well at the Masters, and Zalatoris has done both, and the ball striking is so good. So I would say those are probably 3 names I'm circling right now for Augusta: Zalatoris, Beefy Boy, and we'll see what Joaquin can do.
Awesome. Listen,
You guys, do you have, by the way, you guys have a like early name that's floating in your brain?
So for me, it's funny you say Zalatoris because I said him a long time ago, actually, with Mike, and he was off. He had just had his surgery. So I was like, okay, well, I guess he's not winning this tournament. But watching him, I mentioned before we came on, like I've been watching a bunch of the Bay Hill because it's been rainy here. And watching him hit the golf ball, he's playing great golf. He's striking it really well. And I think he's only going to get better because he's, I don't know if he's 100% back, but I feel like he's going to get rolling a bit more. And I love the Willie Z pick.
I mean, I'm all over Hideki Matsuyama.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, that's I would say a sensible pick.
Yeah.
I think
playing very good right now.
I think he's playing really well. I think he's numb to everything that goes on the outside. Like, he's got Greg Norman in his ear. He's got the PGA Tour. He can't even speak English, so he has no clue what's going on. He shoots 62, says he doesn't play well. Like, he is like the perfect guy with the perfect mentality about, like, talk about not caring. Like, you feel like he's hitting a terrible shot and he hits it to two inches and he's like, all right, I sculled it, but whatever.
Yeah, the Saturday back 9 run from Hideki when he won a couple years ago is, like the Masters.com has that every shot live thing you can watch, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes away when the tournament ends. And then, of course, they put up the final round broadcast on their YouTube. And I was so bummed when the calendar flipped because I lost being able to go to masters.com and just watch his back nine from when he won on Saturday, because it was kind of, to me, what perfect golf looks like the iron play. I mean, in the trees on 11, flags it, hits it close on 12, hits it on the green on 13, in 2, 3 putts, close on 14, hits it on 15 and 2, makes birdie on 16. Like, it was one of those iron displays that you dream about the best players in the world having.
Yep.
And so yeah, I mean, I think Hideki, like, if you're a book guy and you're making a top 5 right now, Hideki better be on your list there.
For sure.
Yeah, totally agree. But listen, like I said, we could keep this going forever. But listen, I again, let me try to wrap this up before I ask another question. We continue this for another 10 minutes, but thanks again. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get you on again soon.
Absolutely, fellas. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Shane. Thank you.